So I didn't really get into the nitty-gritty in regards to my leukemia. My apologies if you guys don't want to listen to this, you don't have to watch. Like I said, this channel is primarily kind of therapeutic for me, things that I want to talk about or need to talk about. In any case, I try not to focus on these things, but at the same time, I like to remind myself of them so that I can appreciate where I'm at today, health-wise. It's amazing. It is utterly amazing, one's immune system and how we take that for granted. I was neutropenic for about probably maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before I went into the hospital. And so when you're neutropenic, when you don't have an immune system, you can't eat rice because I guess bacteria grows easier on rice. People cannot bring you flowers. You can't have anything around you. My door in my hospital room had to stay closed. If I wanted to leave, I had to wear a mask, and masks are so itchy and gross and disgusting. And everyone looks at you weird, like, oh my god, what the hell is wrong with her? And you draw even more attention depending on what age you are, because I was 23 at the time. Was I 23? 22? 23? I think I was 22. I don't know. Anyways, so I began my journey not being able to leave my room without a mask. No one could bring me flowers. The chemo, first of all, the drugs made me insane. Let me just tell you, that was not pretty. Because I had quite a few infections, and because of all the medicine that they were giving me, they gave me steroids. They put me on steroids to help maintain the infections, and I can just tell you that I felt insane. I like to play mental games. I always have. But I remember at one point, I forgot what was wrong, but they thought that something might be off, so they called psych down to give me a test. And, oh, I know, I was seeing people in the wall. Yeah, okay. People in the wall. So they called psych down to give me a test, and they asked me, where's the bathroom, Risa? Now, I had my own bathroom, but instead I referred to the little porta potty that was next to my bed. They're like, that's the only bathroom? And I said, yeah. And they're like, well, what's in this door right here? I'm like, I don't know. A closet? Like, I truly, honestly did not know. And then they asked me my birthday. I didn't know my own birthday, like, and I felt so stupid and so like, oh my god, and it just bothered me so much. So, yeah, and the steroids, like I said, they made me crazy. I had crazy dreams, like, that were half dreams, half not. Like, I thought everyone was conspiring against me and that I was in an evil hospital. Like, I hadn't walked for probably like 2.5 weeks almost, and I remember vaguely one night I jumped up and I ran out. I guess I thought clear enough to grab my IV pole and drag it with me, but the nurse said that I had like this glazed over look in my eyes, and I guess I was screaming like, you guys are all against me, get me out of here, and she tapped me on my shoulder to like wake me up, and she's like, Risa, go back to bed. There was another case where I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was so hungry. I don't know where that came from because I hadn't eaten and I had no appetite for the longest time. And I remember that they had brought me a cheese sandwich. I didn't know that that was like 5 days prior. So I asked my mom, and we look in my little refrigerator in my room, and it was not there. And I was like, no, you're lying, yelling at her. Jump out of bed, go look inside, and there's like tons of cans of Coke and like all this other stuff that they bring me with every meal that I never ate. And so I just started grabbing the cans of Coke and like throwing them across the room as hard as I could. Like, it was scary. Like, I think back and I remember those, but I remember feeling like I wasn't even really in my body. Like, I wasn't the one that did those things, but that was me. That's what the drugs will do. Let's see, what else is there to share? Bone marrow biopsies are no fun at all. I mean, most medical procedures aren't. The only way that I could describe it, for me personally, it felt like I was their puppet. Because what happens is they have to numb the first layer of skin, and then they have to go deeper and numb the next layer, and deeper and deeper and deeper until they're numbing the top of your bone, and then numbing inside your bone. And they basically have to drill into your bone to get suck out marrow so that they can test it, and also a little piece of the bone also. I'm not sure why they do that. But in doing that, they're passing through all these nerve endings. And so to me, being in the drugged state that I was in the first time I received it, I felt like a puppet because I had no control over my legs. I was on my stomach laying down, and because they go into your hip bone, and your legs just kind of like jerk around because of all the nerves that they're hitting. So in my mind, what I saw happening was like jamming metal rods down your legs and like forcing your legs to move even though you didn't want them to move. Yeah, so what else? So like I said, the chemo makes you super duper sick. Basically what it does is it kills any fast growing cells. So that includes everything in your mouth. So you actually cannot brush your teeth with a normal toothbrush. All you can use is this little sponge that really doesn't do anything. It kind of gets some of the tartar off your teeth, but not really. You have to pee like for me it was like every 10 minutes because you have an IV. I also, as I mentioned, I had a central line. I don't remember what side it was on. Well, I had one on both sides. I don't know. Let me see if I can show you guys my scar. I don't know if you can see that or not. But that's my little battle wound. It got infected. They have to go in through the neck because the type of chemotherapy that I had is very toxic, and if they put it through an IV, and basically what'll happen is it's so toxic that it will cause your veins to burst, and then it just goes throughout your whole system. So they have to go in through your neck. That was a traumatic experience also because, again, they didn't tell me really what a central line was. Doesn't sound like anything invasive to someone that's never had any medical procedure done in their life. But basically, and I've seen it done on ER, which, yes, we know that's not real, but watching it on there, they just do it in the hospital bed, no big deal. For me, they rolled me into like a surgery room and kind of like, bam, slam your neck over this way, put the paper over your face, which is itchy. So of course I reached up to grab it, and then they were assholes and they got mad at me. Why did you touch that? That's supposed to be sterile. Well, I didn't know. Nobody told me. Oh, what else? You can't shave. What else? The wind. Okay, my whole reason behind wanting the wind tattoo, and I remember the day I actually had an immune system, was like amazing to me, because what that meant was that I could leave my room without wearing a mask. Not only could I leave my room, but I could leave the hospital. I could go outside and feel fresh air. And just little things like that we take for granted. I remember looking outside and cursing at the people at the bus stop, mad and angry and like jealous because they could be outside and I couldn't. So on that day, I remember, and I was craving fruit of all things. Like, I'm a vegetarian, I have been my whole life, but having no appetite whatsoever, but I had been craving fruit, the one thing, ironically, that I was not allowed to have. So I called my mom, and, she came rushing over with nectarines, which are one of my favorite fruits, and my nurse said that it was okay if I went outside onto this little patio. So I went outside, and summers in San Francisco are not exactly hot. It was a sunny day, but it was definitely very, very windy. And I remember feeling cold, but just so filled with energy. And I remember the wind kind of just picked my hair up and was like playing with it, kind of. I know that sounds corny or whatever. It's kind of like, it reminds me of that scene in American Beauty where he's videotaping that bag. It's kind of along the same line. So yeah, I just realized how much I craved fresh air and the wind, and just appreciating being able to feel, I don't know, the wind is so filled with energy, and so that's where my want or my desire to get that tattoo stems from. It's pretty amazing to have an immune system again, and I'm definitely thankful to be here.